what are you most concerned about with Georgia Tech? Maybe is the best place to start that. I'll kind of grill you on this and see where your head's at on it.
I think for me it is Haynes King. He's actually a sneaky runner. I do think I jokingly tweeted out. I saw a video of a tennis player going nuts breaking his racket at a match over the weekend. And said,
Yeah,
that's going to be me. That's going to be me when Haynes King, scrambles for a 3rd and 13 for a first down. I do think you have to account for that. I think that's something that's important to do. I love the matchups, but you have a defensive line that has not really played together. Farmer or Jackson played together in high school, but not in college, and they didn't play together last year. You bring in Marvin Jones Jr., Pat Payton. You think he's Mr. Reliable. I think Pat Payton will be that one solid guy no matter what, even when things are going bad. I really like what Pat Payton's going to do. But I think the scrambling ability you have to factor in there. And maybe I just have PTSD from that Boston College game last year when Castellanos just did whatever he wanted at the most inopportune times for Florida State. They have a really good running back. We're going to do a show Wednesday, guys, a full preview across the pond, our first ever European podcast. We're both there. Looking forward to that. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Defensively, I think you have so many new pieces with Florida State offensively that you're not sure what to expect. But I trust Mike Norvell. I think the offense is going to do enough to win. Can the defense just handle those little small things? Not let him turn a 3rd and 13 into a first down, turn it into a 4th and 6, and make Brent Key make a decision at that point. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to seeing. I do think it's going to be a tough game. I don't think it's going to be easy. If this were last year, I think Florida State probably wins this game by 20 plus. But with so many new pieces, again, TJ, I do think this will be a tough game. I think Florida State can win, and I think they can cover. But there's a lot of unknowns, and that's kind of the part that makes you nervous about it. And maybe it's just Georgia Tech thinking about, so glad this game that Georgia Tech was willing to give up the game in Atlanta to send it over to Dublin. That makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, I as a season ticket holder, I'm first of all thankful that we're not going to, lose a home game, but also just the idea of not going to Atlanta is pretty elite. Sorry for all the great folks that live in Atlanta, but yeah, I am good if Florida State never plays another sporting event of any kind there ever again.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I guess my biggest concern is just how quickly it takes for the I'm concerned about how quickly the offense can kind of acclimate and get going and get up and rolling. But honestly, Georgia Tech's defense was so bad last year. And when I spoke with, I saw somebody ask if we do anything with Georgia Tech folks this week. And yeah, probably yes. If we can make the timing work with both me and Richie being over here in the UK, we'll see what we can do. But yeah, I mean, their defense is so bad. And I had Chad Bishop on College Football Addiction, the national channel. And yeah, I mean, his take was it's one of those things where it can't get any worse, right? And so, but as we found out, if you have a bad, it can get worse. It absolutely can. They think it's going to be better, and they brought in new pieces on the defense and new coaches, and sometimes that takes time to acclimate. So it would surprise me, Richie, if even people. I mean, DJU has been very inconsistent, up and down for sure. I'll give that to people, but he's not just been terrible. DJU's not the guy that's going to go out and throw 5 interceptions in a game and no touchdown. He's going to make some plays too. And so even if he does have some mistakes or doesn't get off to the best start, or we have some drops at wide receiver, it would surprise me if Florida State didn't score at least 24-28 in this game. Well, is that fair? If we get held under 20, I think I'd be shocked. Right. And we've certainly been shocked by stuff before, but I just think offensively, you're in such a good place. I guess and then I look at the other side of the ball too. And, maybe this is just pure garden gold Homer, drinking all the Kool-Aid, but I look at the other side of the ball too. And I'm just man, this defense, would really have to shock me to not, I'm not saying shut down Haynes King, but what they did last year, and I know Verse is gone and Green is gone, but they replaced those guys with a lot of talent too.
Yeah.
And you replaced a Jared Verse with a Marvin Jones Jr. You replaced a Renardo Green with an Azariah Thomas, and you replaced Fintrell Cypress stepping in for Jarian Jones, and would be surprised if Georgia Tech was able to move the ball consistently. I think the biggest worry, I guess, would be if they were able to just keep it close. Like, the Mario gets so much crap for the kneel down, rightfully so, right? Like, rightfully so, gets so much crap for the kneel down against Georgia Tech. But what he kind of skates by on is the fact that Miami was a 2+ touchdown favorite at home. Like, that game shouldn't have been a 3-point game when they ended up losing late. Like, that game they should have been up by way more than that. And so to me, that's almost as big of an issue as the kneel down was leaving it so close. And so that's what Florida State needs to do. Like, they need this to not be a 4-point game in the fourth quarter, right? And if it is, you've got the ball and maybe you're driving to make it a 2-score game, but which the spread is 11. So, maybe that would work out. But yeah, I think that if you leave them around, they're a team that's confident enough. And I don't think, the worst thing you can do is increase that confidence. I don't think Georgia Tech comes into the game thinking like, oh man, we got no shot against the mighty Seminoles. I think they would have thought that last year. I think last year they'd have been like, oh man, this is not going to be a hard day. This year, I do think they'll be confident. And so does that translate into a Georgia Tech win? Probably not, but it is football and weird things happen. And, we've lost as 11-point favorites before and we've won as 11-point underdogs. Like, that's not a massive spread. Like, BC, you don't want to count every chicken before it hatches, but we're not going to lose to BC. The Georgia Tech game, I don't think we lose either, but certainly don't want to act like it's impossible to lose. So, if the offense isn't clicking early, Richie, like, I do trust the defense to hold Georgia Tech down until it gets there. And if the defense and offense are both clicking early, because the defense really, really good, and because Georgia Tech's defense is so bad, it could get ugly early. Like, I'm not saying it will, but like, if both sides are kind of going to start, like, yeah, it could be a 21-10 game at halftime that you just never really see get close after that. I'll get right back to chatting with Richie, but first, let me give some love to our friends over at the National Mango Board. They've got some exciting stuff coming this week. Upcoming, they're going to be in Tallahassee before that Boston College game, and for the Boston College game, we'll get you way more details on that in the weeks upcoming and in the couple days upcoming as well. Appreciate the Mango Board for their support of not only FSU athletics, but our channel. The next time you're at your local grocer, make sure that you pick up a couple of mangoes. Tag them on social media. Make sure you're following them for giveaways, exclusive events, different things that they have going on. Again, appreciate them for their support.
Yeah, and I think you could easily make an argument that these are the two best coaches in the ACC. People are going to say, oh, Dabo. Yeah, Dabo's a great coach. I know he's won 2 national titles. He's not adapted to the new era of college football, but I can certainly see an argument for Dabo at number 1. But I think you could absolutely make an argument that, between Norvell and Key, these are 2 of, at the very least, top 5 coaches in the league. Georgia Tech is going to be a well-coached football team. They've had all season. They prepared. They're going to be ready. Like any Florida State fan that comes up to me or tells me we're going to blow them out, I just say no. Pump the brakes, man, because I do think it will be a tough game. I think it's a game you should win. Again, we'll get into more of the details and intricacies about it on Wednesday, but Florida State needs to come prepared. Your C game is a game that could lose this game being the first game of the season. I'd feel a lot better playing Georgia Tech in week 8 than week 0, but I still feel confident in week 0. But again, this team is going to be prepared, and it is not going to be some sort of cupcake or easy W.
I really like the way that Norvell has had his team pretty ready to start seasons.
Yeah.
Right. And I think
Ask
that's
Brian Kelly.
Yeah. And yeah, he usually had a much weaker coach to go up against. Shots fired. But yeah, Notre Dame 21, LSU. Who did we play to start the year in 2020? So, like, I don't even remember that. And that year doesn't.
I don't either. That year doesn't count.
Yeah. But I like the way that we've started seasons. Also, when you said, like, anybody that comes up to you and says that Florida State's just going to blow the other team out, like, you don't want to hear it, like, don't talk to me after like 3 or 4 Guinnesses on Saturday then, because I will certainly be in that mood by about that time. But it was Georgia Tech in 2020, and we blew a lead late, so never mind. I'll take it all back. No, cut. Harlan, get us out of here.
Harlan, cut this out.
I like the way we've started seasons, and I don't know how much I hold 2020 against anybody, but yeah, the Notre Dame game. I mean, Duquesne in 2022, and then obviously LSU. and then obviously LSU last year. I like the way that they have guys prepared. Obviously, this is the most healthy that Florida State will likely be all year. I think all that helps, all that matters. And I know you lost some talent, but you're playing a much weaker team than you played the last 2 years to open this thing up. And I mean, if you don't come out ahead, like there's no scenario that I could see where I'd be okay with a loss. Like this is a game that Vegas thinks you're 10 points plus better. Everyone in the national media thinks you're better. Georgia Tech would admit that you're the better team too. Better teams lose at times, like that certainly does happen. But it needs to not happen this weekend. You need to get off to a good start, and I think they will. Right. All that said, I think they do get off to a good start.